In the third week of August 2026, moving trucks left a rich house in Montecito, California. They carried the things of Prince Harry and his wife, Meghan Markle, back to Britain. 6 years earlier, they had moved away from Britain. Now, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex were returning home. Their children had quietly started at English schools. People close to the family said the king was told about this only days before the public knew. It was a very unusual time for them to come back to Britain. Just weeks before, a British newspaper showed a big royal story on its front page. It was about the arrest of the king's brother. This was the first time in almost 400 years that a king's brother was arrested. New reports from that same summer showed that fewer people supported the royal family than at any time in over 3 decades. Only about 1/3 of Britons under 35 years old wanted to keep the monarchy. The royal family often presents itself as something that never changes, strong and separate from normal politics. But by many accounts, this year was one of the hardest it had faced in a very long time. Still, the monarchy was there. It still had its place. It still opened Parliament. Its image was still on the coins. And, as it turned out, it was welcoming home the very family members who had once seemed to leave it forever.
This is the main puzzle about the House of Windsor, an old institution that people often say is in trouble or even dying, but it never truly disappears. It always finds a way to survive. It has faced many big problems that destroyed other royal families in Europe, but this family somehow stays strong. What is their secret? How does this keep happening? How has this 1,000-year-old tradition managed to live through shocks that destroyed almost every other royal family in Europe? It is an ancient institution, always being declared as dying, yet it repeatedly survives against all odds. We see it facing problems, but then it bends and finds a way to continue. It learns from its past. This book will help us understand the actual mechanics of how this family stays strong. It is not about whether it will happen again, but how it has managed to endure for so long. To truly understand the actual mechanics of how this family survives everything, we must journey back to a shocking moment in 1649. In that year, the British public did not just hate their king, King Charles I. They took extreme action and violently destroyed him. This event changed everything for the royal family forever. 2. The King Who Lost His Head. In January 1649, something shocking happened in England. The country put its king, Charles I, on trial. This was after a long civil war that divided England between those who supported the king and those who supported Parliament. The king was found guilty and then executed in public. His head was cut off outside a building in Whitehall, a truly unforgettable and violent act. After this, Parliament decided there would be no more kings. England became a republic, a country without a monarch, for the first time. This period was known as the English Interregnum. A powerful man named Oliver Cromwell led this new republic. He was called the Lord Protector, a title that avoided the word king, but functioned in many ways like one. However, after Cromwell died, the fragile republic did not work well. It quickly collapsed into disorder and weakness. So, just over 10 years after King Charles I lost his head, the monarchy returned. In 1660, Charles II became king. This abolition, followed by disillusionment and then restoration, taught the British monarchy a big lesson for its survival. To stay in place and avoid future conflict, they slowly started to give up their real political power. This was a very crucial choice that set them apart from other European rulers. Unlike the absolute rulers in other countries like France, British kings and queens learned to bend instead of trying to break. They accepted a new status as heads of state, but did not control the daily running of the government, forming what is known as a constitutional monarchy. In France, the king had all the power, a system known as an absolute monarchy.
When people there rose up against a king who truly ruled them, they had to remove the king completely. But in Britain, the monarch already had less direct control over politics and taxes. This meant they were not blamed for every problem. A king who does not make tax rules or choose the government cannot be easily toppled by public anger. This structural change saved them. The real political power was not located on the throne itself, so revolutionary movements did not target it as fiercely. Giving up political power saved them from the first wave of revolutions. However, a much larger catastrophe was brewing in the early 20th century. This global event threatened to wipe every royal family off the map. 3. War and a new name. The early 20th century brought big problems for royal families in Europe. The First World War was like a great storm that swept many of them away. After the war, many people were unhappy with kings and queens. In Russia, the Romanov family lost their power completely. The German Kaiser and the Austrian Emperor also had to leave their thrones. Many royal houses disappeared. Britain's royal family faced a different kind of challenge. Their family name was Saxe-Coburg-Gotha, which sounded very German. This was a problem because Britain was fighting Germany in the First World War. In 1917, King George V made a smart choice. He changed the family name to the House of Windsor. This new name sounded English and helped the royal family connect better with their people. It showed that the monarchy knew how to manage its public image to survive. Just a few years later, the Second World War began. This war brought new dangers. In 1939, King George VI and his wife, Queen Elizabeth, made a very important decision. They chose to stay in London even when German planes, called Zeppelins, bombed the city during the Blitz. Buckingham Palace, where they lived, was bombed 9 times. Many people wanted them to leave London for safety, but the King and Queen refused. Their decision showed great courage and a strong commitment to their country. They often visited bombed areas, factories, and military bases. They spoke with people who had lost their homes and helped lift their spirits. This shared suffering made the royal family feel closer to the public. Their actions were so powerful that Adolf Hitler reportedly called Queen Elizabeth the most dangerous woman in Europe. He meant that her presence and bravery were helping the British people stay strong. These world wars taught the monarchy a clear lesson. They could survive outside threats by managing their public image and by sharing hard times with their people. However, a new and different kind of danger was growing. What would happen when the biggest threat to the crown came not from a war, but from a king who was deeply in love? 4. The king leaves for love.
King George V died in January 1936. His oldest son became the new king, Edward VIII. Edward had different ideas from his father. He really wanted to marry a woman named Wallis Simpson. She was American and had been divorced twice. At that time, she was still getting her second divorce. This was a big problem because the king was also the head of the Church of England. The church did not allow people to marry again if their former husband or wife was still alive. The government, led by Prime Minister Stanley Baldwin, did not agree with the marriage. They told King Edward he had a clear choice. He could give up Mrs. Simpson, or he could give up his role as king. Edward chose Mrs. Simpson. He left the throne after only 326 days. He was the first king in 1,000 years to leave his job willingly. He was never even officially crowned. His younger brother then became King George VI. George VI was shy and found public speaking hard. Many people thought he was less suited for the job than Edward. Later, people learned that Edward's choice was more serious than just a love story. As king, Edward did not want Britain to strongly oppose Hitler. After he left the throne, he and Mrs. Simpson even visited Nazi Germany and met with high-ranking Nazi officials. Historians now believe that Edward's removal might have saved Britain.
It stopped a king with dangerous views from leading the country at a very important time when Britain needed to stand firm against fascism. This event showed how the royal family survives. When one royal person becomes a real danger to the family's good name, the family has often removed that person. This stops the problem from hurting the whole royal crown. By replacing Edward VIII with George VI, the monarchy stayed a traditional, symbolic institution without real political power. This was a very important moment for the royal family in the 20th century. The family had survived by removing a dangerous king and bringing in a dutiful one. But many years later, a queen who was not good at showing her feelings would face a terrible event. This event would almost destroy the family for good. 5. The sad days of the Queen. Queen Elizabeth II began her long reign in 1952. She was just 25 years old. Her time as queen lasted 70 years until her death. During these years, the world changed a lot. The British Empire ended, the Cold War happened, and new things like television and the internet became common. The Queen faced all these changes with a calm and dutiful way. She often avoided drama, performing her royal tasks year after year. This quiet approach usually worked well. People found it hard to be angry with a leader who rarely spoke strongly or showed much personal emotion. However, this same quiet approach led to the biggest crisis of her reign. In August 1997, Princess Diana died in a tragic car crash in Paris. Diana was very famous and loved by many people around the world. The Queen, her husband Prince Philip, and their son Charles, along with William and Harry, were at their home in Scotland, Balmoral, when they heard the news. For 5 days after Diana's death, the royal family stayed silent. They followed old family protocol for mourning in private. But the public did not understand this. Millions of Britons loved Diana. They were very sad and angry at the Queen's quietness. People brought huge numbers of flowers to Buckingham Palace. They demanded to know why their Queen was not speaking. Newspapers, usually respectful, began to strongly criticize the Queen. This was a very dangerous time for the royal family.
perhaps the worst since the king left the throne for love decades before. It was an existential crisis. Behind the palace doors, there was intense worry. The deeply traditional family slowly realized their usual way of acting was causing huge damage. Their silence was destroying the monarchy's image and support from the public. 1,000 years of royal history and respect were at risk. Finally, the Queen changed her approach. She returned to London and spoke to the nation on live television from Buckingham Palace. She showed her sadness and acknowledged the public's deep grief.
For the first time ever, a flag flew at half-mast over Buckingham Palace. Diana's funeral became a moment for the nation to share its sadness. It helped prevent a complete break between the people and the monarchy. Yet the event left a deep mark. The royal family learned that public affection, once thought to be theirs by right, could disappear in just a few days. This could happen if the institution seemed out of touch with the feelings of the people it served. The damage was severe. How could the royals now rebuild trust with a nation that had so strongly turned against them? 6. Two princes leave home. The monarchy worked to improve its public image after Princess Diana's death. They put younger royals, Prince William and Prince Harry, in the spotlight. This helped the family seem more modern and easy to relate to. For many years, this plan worked well. Most British people felt proud of the monarchy. However, the family soon faced big money issues and cultural changes. The way the royal family gets its money, called the sovereign grant, became a problem. People questioned how much money the royals received. The amount of money given to the palace changed often and caused arguments. Critics said the true cost of the monarchy was much higher than official numbers showed. In January 2020, a big crisis happened. Prince Harry and his wife Meghan announced they would stop being senior working royals. This was called Megxit. They wanted to live independently.
This news surprised the royal family. Later, Harry said the family did not help him when he asked. Meghan also shared her experiences in a TV interview. She talked about strong pressure and racism concerns from an unnamed family member about her future child's skin color. These statements damaged the monarchy's reputation, especially among younger people. The departure of Harry and Meghan caused a deep rift between the two brothers, William and Harry. It showed a different kind of problem for the monarchy. It wasn't about pushing someone out, but a family member choosing to leave and then accusing the family of being cold. This hurt the royal brand because Harry and Meghan were two of its most liked young members. They made the monarchy seem modern and connected. The royal family also saw its global power change. Several countries, like Barbados, decided they no longer wanted the British monarch as their head of state. Other nations, such as Jamaica, planned to do the same. This shrinking of the Commonwealth realms made the monarchy seem less powerful and more fragile. With popular members gone and global influence decreasing, the institution looked weak. And then, new health problems struck the palace. 7. A bad brother and a sick king. King Charles III began his reign with a promise of a more modest monarchy. But soon, serious health issues affected the royal family. In February 2024, Buckingham Palace announced that King Charles had been diagnosed with an unspecified form of cancer.
This news came only weeks after Princess Kate, the Princess of Wales, had undergone abdominal surgery. She later shared her own cancer diagnosis in March 2024, confirming she was in remission by January 2025. These health challenges highlighted how few active members were left in the core royal family, making it appear very stretched. Adding to these difficulties, Prince Andrew, King Charles's younger brother, faced a catastrophic downfall between 2025 and 2026. His long association with Jeffrey Epstein, a convicted sex offender, became a huge public scandal. In October 2025, King Charles made an unprecedented decision. He officially stripped Andrew of all his remaining royal titles, including the title of prince. Andrew was then to be known simply as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. He was also asked to move out of his large residence, Royal Lodge, in Windsor Great Park. The palace's statement was very direct, stating these strict measures were necessary, even though Andrew continued to deny the serious allegations against him. The crisis became even more severe in February 2026. Prince Andrew was arrested. He was suspected of misusing his public office. This happened after millions of pages of documents from the Epstein files were released. These files included emails that suggested Andrew had forwarded secret government reports directly to Epstein during his time as a British trade envoy to places like Hong Kong and Singapore. Andrew was released from police custody the same evening, but remained under investigation. King Charles issued a public statement expressing his deep concern and insisting that the law must take its course. This was an extraordinarily clear public separation between the king and his own sibling. According to many reports, Andrew became the first senior member of the British royal family to be arrested in nearly 400 years. This event showed that the family would use its ruthless survival strategy again, sacrificing individuals, no matter how important, to protect the crown's fragile reputation. But with a dangerously emaciated working family due to sickness and departures, and public support, especially among young people, plummeting, was this ancient formula finally failing? 8. The future of the royal family. Recent numbers show important changes in how people feel about the royal family. In 2026, polls found that many young people want Britain to become a republic. This means a country without a king or queen. Only about 1/3 of young adults aged 18 to 34 support keeping the monarchy.
More of them, 45%, would prefer a republic instead. Young people also said they do not feel proud of the royal family. In fact, almost the same number said it made them feel embarrassed. This big difference between older and younger generations is very clear today, showing a major shift in public opinion over time. Despite these lower numbers, the royal family is still present. In August 2026, Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, came back to live in Britain. They had left official royal duties 6 years before and moved to California. Their children began attending English schools. The king was told about their return just days before the news became public. Buckingham Palace shared that the king was happy to see the family more, but Harry and Meghan would remain non-working members. This event shows how the royal family can absorb past problems and still welcome members back, even after big public disagreements and internal ruptures. The royal family has a special way, a master formula, for staying in place for hundreds of years. They often chose to give up real political power a long time ago. This means they do not control the government or make laws. By doing this, they avoid direct blame for daily problems or bad decisions.
They also have a clear strategy to remove family members who cause big problems or harm the family's image.
This is a tough decision, sometimes hurting popular individuals, but it protects the whole institution from greater damage. When public affection for them goes down, the family tries to change its public image quickly, becoming more modern or showing shared sadness. This constant adaptation helps them to bend instead of break under pressure, allowing them to outlast many powerful empires. This long history of changing, sacrificing individuals when needed, and quietly enduring storms is why the House of Windsor is still here. Their actual power has become very small, almost zero in terms of running the country, but they remain an important part of British tradition and identity. Even when support is low, especially among the young, this ancient institution finds a way to continue. Do you think the British royal family will still exist in 50 years, or will the younger generation finally abolish the crown? Tell us what you think in the comments below.
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.